In Flownex, we try to integrate Excel as pre and post processing tool, as well as reporting tool, and to do calculations. We've got quite extensive Excel integration because we know engineers love Excel. So we've always had reporting to Excel, which makes sense because you can set up a template in Excel, and then with Flownex you can just write your results or inputs into the correct places in those templates that you've set up. You've got a nice report. We've gone one step further with this and improved this reporting to make it even easier to use. What we like in Flownex is drag and drop, because everybody loves drag and drop. So most things operate with drag and drop, and also the what you see is what you get paradigm. So we incorporated this into the new iteration of our reporting to make the reporting really simple to use and powerful. If we go to the report setup dialog, we can add a new report. Now the report setup dialog can be docked anywhere of Flownex, so you can close it. If you've got many reports, it's nice to go and dock it somewhere around here, like at the bottom, so you can switch between the reports. But for now, I'll just close it. The report we created is shown here in the background. It's docked in the drawing area, and you can keep the report open while doing your simulation and it will be updated. To add new items to the report, you go and select a component. Let's say we have this node and we want to add the total pressure of this node to the report. It's quite easy to do. You just select the pressure, drag and drop it onto the cell you want. Now you will see a new location has been added and some kind of setup for the report item that you've dropped here. If you run the report, at the bottom there's a run report option, and this is quite useful to preview what's going to happen in the report. You will see, because it's just the value is written in there. Now if we change this to a table with time steps, the one you usually use during a transient, can run the report again, preview it, and this is what it will look like. Also, you will see it has been changed to every time step at the top when data will be added to this report. And if we press solve and we run it, we can see the table of data being added to the report. If we want to clear it, we can just delete it. This Excel editor operates exactly like Excel, so everything that you know to do from Excel you can do here as well. Let's just preview our report again. Another nice feature is if you select one of your setups for your report, you can choose the add graph functionality. You just hide the setup. Now a graph that is correct for this type of report item will be created for you. So if we now solve steady state and run a transient again, you see a nice graph that is created for you. Okay, let's look at some of the other features of the reporting. If we want to plot the total pressure from multiple components, we can just go and select the other components that we want to plot as well, and go and select the total pressure and drop it in here. What happens is the common properties for all the components will be listed under properties, and all the components will be listed there. If we decide we want to report the static pressure as well, we can just drop it anywhere, and what now happens, for all of the components listed here, both the total pressure and static pressure will be reported. To preview what will happen, you can click run report, and you see this is what your report will look like. Now you don't always want a table over time. Let's say you just want a table showing all the different values. If we change it to table with identifiers, and this is what the report will look like with the different components and the value of the properties. Again, if we say add graph, a graph that is relevant for this setup will be generated for you. Now, many times you just want to report a specific value to a specific cell. In that case, let's for instance take the temperature, and if we put it here in this cell and we leave it on values only, only that value will be reported in here. This is useful if you want to do some specific calculations with the value in this cell. Also, the reporting items allow group editing, so you can change the settings all together, and you can also just go and delete certain components or properties. If we now run the report again, you will see our setup has changed. Another feature of the reporting is that a full Excel editor is included. You can open this editor. In here you can do many of the things that you can do in Excel, like formatting the cells, changing the layout and things like that. Now I quickly want to show you some of the features that existed in the reporting before but probably was not as well known. So let me close this report. If I open the report setup again, there is a button at the top that says Generate Inputs Report. What this does is it goes through your project and scans the project for all the components and puts all their inputs in a nice report. So we click on Generate Inputs Report and then on Show Inputs Report, and this nice report gets generated for us with a tab or a worksheet for each of the components in our simulation and all the input values. Exactly the same can be done for the results. So this is very nice to extract all of the results of your project. And then a very nice functionality is the compare functionality. So let's change the input in our project. Let's change this roughness for instance. And let's just make a copy of our old inputs report. If we now regenerate the inputs report, there will be a new roughness in the report as we changed it to 450. So if we go to compare, we can drag and drop the reports that we want, the Excel files that we want to compare with each other, and run the comparison. Now you will see all the components that are in those files that have been generated will be listed below, and everywhere where there are differences it will be highlighted in red, and the specific difference is highlighted in red also with the old and the new values listed. This is extremely useful if you want to know what has changed in a network since a previous revision. You can generate the inputs report in the one network, generate the inputs report in the other network, and use the comparison tool to compare the inputs of the different networks. It's something we use quite often. As you can see, the Excel reporting that has always been a nice and powerful tool is now just so much easier to use, and I think this will improve productivity and usability even more.